On this episode of Tim Tschida, the show,
Jeff and I looked at each other and just laughed when we saw that. We go, well, it's just a matter of time, and we're going to have the biggest controversy ever.
Tim and the crew are up against the wall. Now here's Tim.
When they built Target Field, the field itself was complete in October of 2009. It opened in April of 2010. Well, in 2009, the American League, the Commissioner's Office, sent Jeff Nelson and myself, who are both native Minnesotans, out there to establish the ground rules. You know, which, as you know, Al, the ground rules are printed on the back of the lineup cards for that stadium for both teams, and they have to be on file within the Commissioner's Office, and they have to be in accordance with the actual official playing rules. So we get there, and we walk out of home plate. You know, it's a beautiful stadium. So we look at home plate. Okay, here's the backstop. It's straight up. You say, okay, no catch the guy wires that hold the backstop, or you can't catch off of those. Then we go down to the dugout, and the dugouts are 2 steps down, but they now all have screens in front of them, so there's no longer the catch and go in, rule, or go in and catch. You can't do that anymore. Go down the foul line, and it's good. The tarp is there. You can go on the tarp and make a catch. If the ball goes out of sight, it's out of play. And we get down to the left field corner. I'm not sure if I can convey this, but if you go down the left field line in foul territory at Target Field, it slowly angles itself back towards fair territory. And there's a wall there that is made of limestone, which the theme of the ballpark is limestone. From the outside, and the limestone is a Minnesota homegrown product. The limestone goes past the line of the stands and makes its way to the edge to where the foul line is. Okay, it's still in foul territory, but part of it is over the field of play. So Jeff and I are looking down there, and we said, well, you're going to have to paint a line on that to determine, what's over the stands and what is in the field of play. Because if a batted ball lands fair and it hits the limestone on the field side, it's in play if it comes back out. If it hits the other side of it, it's in the stands and it's out of play.
Wow.
And nobody said a word. Billy Smith was the GM. Terry Ryan had been the GM, and Matt Hoy, the stadium operations guy, they were all there with me, and I'm telling them this, and nobody said a word. I looked at him and I said, why do I feel like I just canceled Christmas? What's going on here, And Terry looked at me and he said, Tim, there's absolutely no way that Mr. Polad, the owner, would allow us to put anything on that limestone. That's his baby. The limestone ends, and then there's a gap about this wide, but just bigger than a baseball. And then the foul pole is there. Now we're going from the foul pole towards center field, if you can picture that. So I'm looking at it from like home plate toward the pole, and we're up by third base. And Jeff and I looked at each other and just laughed when we saw that. We go, well, it's just a matter of time, and we're going to have the biggest controversy ever. Fast forward to opening day, and Jeff and I, and then Mark Wagner, who's also from St. Paul, they brought us in from our different crews to work the first game. We're in like the 4th inning, and they're hosting the Red Sox. And Mike Cameron, I was at second. So Cameron hits this high towering ball, and I'm looking and watching. Kerwin's right there on the line. And with God as our witness, the ball went through that opening between the foul pole and the limestone, which I told you about earlier, that eventually was going to be a problem. It went right through it, hit the stairs, concrete stairs, came straight back through it again, and came out to the field. And I'm looking at it, and I went, wow. And I looked at Kerwin, and he waited, and finally he just went, foul ball. And I'm with him. I just got it right. And I looked at Jeff, and I'm not even sure if they had challenges available or if replay was just up to us to go if we wanted to look at it. And I looked at Jeff, and I gave him the TV thing. I said, we're going to go check this. And Frank Kona came out and he says, I should have come out and asked you. He said, did I see what I just saw? I said, I think so. I said, but I'll be sure to let you know. So we go in, and honest to God, it's exactly what the ball did. And Jeff and I, we all looked at each other and went, can you believe that? So I come back out and, I just, I'm all, and by that time, of course, the whole crowd with all the monitors throughout these stadiums and high definition flat screens, people had seen it by now. And I go back out, and Orlando Hudson was playing second base for the Twins at the time, and he goes, Chi-Chi? He said, that might never happen ever again in our lifetime. We might have just seen something that happens once. And I said, you might be right, old dog. I said, I've seen a lot of things in this game. And as Tom Kelly always used to say, you stick around this game long enough, you'll see a lot of things.
Come back soon for more great calls on Tim Tschida, the show.